104.5 The Team, your home for New York sports. The Carrier Dome is about to be rocking as the Syracuse Orange host the Central Connecticut State team. And our friend, who you know locally from back in his time with CBS 6, but now with ESPN on the national stage, Doug Sherman. Doug, we had Syracuse head coach Dino Babers on last week, and he told us they expect this team to fly on offense. Is that what you're preparing for, too?
Yeah, as they said last year, orange is the new fast, which is what Coach Babers wants to do, and they averaged 81 plays per game, trying to get the football snapped every 20 seconds on offense. So that's fast, and they're trying to do it even faster this year.
Have you told your color commentator you're working with that, hey, you might not be talking a lot during this broadcast?
Well, I think that goes without saying when I'm doing a Syracuse game. I'm just kidding. I'm working tonight with Tyoka Jackson. He was a great defensive lineman at Penn State and spent a dozen years in the NFL. So if this was Penn State against Central Connecticut State, I'd defer to him. I would expect him to do the same with me tonight.
Yeah, that plus also when you're working that color spot there and you have an offense moving so quickly, you as the play-by-play guy, especially for the younger broadcaster here, have to realize, like, you got to set the pace, you got to set the tone, and Babers, by the time you're ready to turn to your color guy, the play might already be off.
Yeah, and that's actually funny and a valid point that the average consumer wouldn't think about, and I didn't fully comprehend until my first game. I did the Syracuse opener last year, and it really was stunning for both myself and my partner just how quickly it was. And you're used to a rhythm and a tempo to a broadcast, and not only does this tempo disrupt the defense, it also disrupts us in the booth a little bit. You do have to get used to it. It's funny, and it's not that I have to take center stage. I just got to get through my stuff quicker and allow for him to get some stuff in.
It's weird. I mean, Doug, I've watched you on TV for years and years, and I don't want to compliment you because I know it'll turn to a love fest. But I've always seen you just look calm and natural. So for an offense to be so fast that it could actually kind of take you off your game, I'm impressed. And now I'm curious about Q's.
Well, I don't think Coach Babers is thinking about throwing me off my game, but it has its challenges, and football and college football especially, as you know, has changed so dramatically in so many ways that it doesn't hardly even look like the game we remember from 10, 15, 20 years ago, let alone when I was going to Syracuse 30 years ago. It's just so different, and you've just got to prepare for the game and also, be ready for the game in terms of anticipating what's happening in a much different way than in the old days.
Getting us ready for the Syracuse game tonight, it's Doug Sherman with us on 104.5 The Team.
Eric Dungey, year 2 in the Dino Babers offense, year 3 as a starter for the Syracuse Orange. What are his expectations this season?
You'll remember, guys, he came in as a true freshman when their then starting quarterback got knocked out early in the year. So Dungey, he's gotten so much bigger, guys, and so he's 6'4", 230 or so. But his problem has been he is such a good athlete and so daring while running the football that he has suffered multiple concussions. And so it's all about keeping him healthy and on the field. He hasn't finished either of the last 2 years because of concussions. And as we know, with all of the talk and focus that's put on that injury nowadays, rightly so, there's also in the back of everybody's mind that if Dungey sustains another concussion, will he ever play again? I mean, it's gotten to that point. But if he's on the field, upright and healthy, there's a real good case to be made that he's the third best quarterback in the ACC, which is arguably the best league in the country. Of course, Lamar Jackson at Louisville, the Heisman winner, would be number one, and then DeAndre Francois, Florida State, was the ACC Rookie of the Year last season. Dungey slots in very comfortably at number 3, so he's a marvelous weapon, but it's just about protection and hoping that, A, the offensive line this year can be better than it was last year and protect him, and B, he's got to avoid some of the situations, if he can, where he would take a big hit. Now, sometimes you can't avoid it. When you're playing Clemson and they're coming at you from 11 different angles, you can only avoid so much, but they do want for him to be more cognizant of protecting himself and not going for every yard necessarily on every play.
Doug, one of my rules is the more words before your nickname, probably the easier you are to beat. What kind of a challenge is the Central Connecticut State University going to pose for the Syracuse Orange?
Well, on paper, not a lot. And they're the Blue Devils, and they're in the Northeast Conference, and so that's in 1AA or FCS. And unlike the Albany Great Danes, who are in the Colonial, which is arguably the top 1AA conference. Central Connecticut State is a middle-of-the-road team from one of the lower 1AA conferences. They're picked to finish middle of the pack this year in that league, but the reality is they just don't have the same kind of athletes to be able to compete with an ACC team unless, everything goes crazy. The odds say it's going to be a one-sided game tonight and that Syracuse should be able to take care of CCSU pretty easily.
I hope that's the case, but I also remember that Villanova needed a missed extra point to lose to Syracuse, and Syracuse needed a walk-on wide receiver who had never played before to catch a game-winning touchdown to beat Rhode Island. So I'm a little cautiously optimistic is my phrase tonight. For the overall season, Doug, how do you see the Orange faring in the ACC and the overall non-conference schedule?
Well, I think 5-7 would probably be about right. That would be my guess. You can make a pretty strong argument that Syracuse has the toughest schedule of anybody in the country this year. All but Clemson of their tough conference games are on the road, and then they have a trip to Death Valley later this month to play LSU. So you've got at LSU and then 4 legitimate national powers within the league. So even if you steal one of those, like you did last year with Virginia Tech, that's still coming out of the gate 1-4. So you've got to take care of these first 3 weeks if you can, and then you've got to make sure against an NC State maybe you pull that upset, or a Wake Forest or a BC. You handle the lower ACC teams. I mean, there are those here in Central New York who think 6-6 bowl game is a possibility, but you'd have to really see a marked improvement. The feeling, though, guys, around this program is that there will be improvement this year and perhaps dramatic improvement, but because of the schedule, it might not reflect itself in the final record.
Well, Doug, enjoy the broadcast tonight. And now the real question is what you're going to be bringing us back from Syracuse. Dinosaur barbecue, maybe some Tully's. What do you got for us on the meal-wise?
Well, I'm going to Dinosaur, but I don't know if I'm bringing anything back to you guys because that's a long drive on the thruway, and I couldn't bear to smell that for 2 hours and then not eat it. So I might get you something, but I'm not sure it would make it back to the capital region.
Fine. Okay.
That's fair. That's a veteran answer right there from Doug Sherman. Doug,
it's the thought that counts, guys. It's the thought that counts.
Sure, okay.
Yeah, just send us a picture. That's all. I'm on a diet anyway. Doug, it was awesome that Goz finally let me talk to you again. He always kind of books you when I'm out of town, so I missed you, and I'm glad to be able to have a conversation with you once again.
The easy answer is stop being out of town so much, man.
If you worked with Goz as much as I do, wouldn't you travel more?
They should make this the Goz and Sherm show we're on so often together without you.
Oh, everybody trying to steal my seats.
Appreciate your time, Doug. We'll talk again soon, maybe with or without Levack.
Probably without.
All right, fellas. Sounds good.
Doug, that was great.